hold on. Okay. Well, welcome to this. Are you alright? Do you want to do the introduction or?
Yeah, I'll do the introduction. This is the Minish Cap tourney. This is round 2, I believe. And yeah, it's round 2, and this is the 80% run, and people will finish between around 1:30 to 2 hours. And I wish the racers luck. Like, it's gonna be an exciting run, and I hope you guys enjoy.
Yep, this is quite a matchup actually. So Fir3turtle that you have on the left is actually the third best runner of the game with Fir3turtle with Darkest Wit that we got earlier today, and Toadwood who's not in the tournament. So one of the big shot in this marathon, and on the right, because we're still in the tourney, we've got one of the newest runner of TMC. I believe that he started for the tournament, so you're gonna be able to see like the improvement you can have when you run the game, like when you start a game and when you're really familiar with the game. I believe Fir3turtle has been around for like 4 years now. Also, the timer did not start on my layout, whatever.
That didn't start. That's great.
It's like 40 seconds off.
Okay. Well, let me do my usual workaround. Let me, if you're looking at the timer, then tell me what it's at right now.
It's 59, 101.
Alright, I'll set it to 105 and start the timer.
Yep.
Alright, there we go. Problem solved.
That should be like nearly it. Worth noting that apparently the streams aren't cropped properly.
I'm fixing it right now.
Okay, got this. So yeah, this is going to be quite a race, and they're going to start off with manipulation. So the timer started, like the race timer started a little earlier because the rule of thumb is basically like you reset once the race timer says go. Why? That's because we're manipulating RNG right from the start, and we need to start from a reset.
Alright, I'm gonna mute myself.
Okay. And we do that in order to get a few rupees. Actually, there's two routes. Either you take 5 rupees and you then go, which means that you have like nothing to do, which they post say to do, or you can get 20 rupees, which allow to skip a cave later on in Montreal. But it's not as consistent as just picking 5 rupees and going. So just avoiding the lack of consistency here because it's a race. So one thing that's worth mentioning is that like Enter Deeper Shrine is the first split of the run. It's about 10 minutes and 10 seconds long because of the manette mostly. And it's a very interesting split because there's absolutely no RNG with it. It's all just text box mashing and most importantly movement. Now movement is quite important in this game. It's about like 80% of the run. Everything else is like fight strats and glitches, but the most important part is movement, and it's a very easy way to tell if you have good movement or not, depending on your average time on inter-depot shrine, since it's all just movement. So Fir3turtle here has a best of 1007, which I believe is with the 5 rupee minute, or maybe it's actually it shouldn't be. So like his best is 1007, right? And if you look at Bluedanes, it's 1021. So you've got 14 seconds lost solely on movement. it's quite something, and that's going to be a disparity that we're going to see right away during this race as well, because movement like aren't really hard to get on average. On average, like I believe that Fir3turtle is always going to have like a 10-10 inter the boot shrine. Well, Bluedanes, sure, he's done like 6 runs on his life split. So I believe that he can go down to like 10-15 at very best. But that's still like 8 seconds of difference in between the two. So you can really see like what the difference can be in this game. Whether or not you play well or not. Worth mentioning as well. Bluedanes is playing on a Game Boy player, so with the actual copy of the game, the actual cartridge. While Fir3turtle is on Wii U VC, which is faster, has a few faster loadings. I believe that's like 20 seconds faster, 30 seconds faster total. And it allows for slightly different strat, but well, his PB that he had for the longest time, which was a 146, as well as what he had. I believe it was a high 146. He bested that a week ago, and like his PB for like a good 8 months was on the GBA version on the Game Boy Play run on Game Boy Player with the GameCube. So it doesn't matter that much. Alright, so we are off. Intro is done, and now we're going to see Ling roll a lot. If you're interested in picking up this game, rolling is faster. It's just better to time all your rolls. That's something you probably heard in every other Zelda games, but it's also true in this game. Just always time your rolls. Once your roll is done, you just start it again, and that's where like it's kind of hard to do. Sure, there's a route that you can follow, and Bluedane is not actually following the optimal path, which Fir3turtle is demonstrating right now. Like there is some slight difference that you wouldn't notice, I guess, if you are not running the game. And yeah, so the forest is where things get a little interesting and where movement gets a little bit more tricky. So whenever Link rolls, he has a few frames where he cannot get hit. That's invisible frame. It's quite something that you learn right away, because Deep Root has a room where there's a bunch of sludge and slug, sorry, and you need to either destroy them or get through them with invincible frames. And so like it's something that we're gonna see a lot throughout the run, and it's like the first place where it's actually noticeable. Otherwise, throughout the forest, it's just dealing with RNG, and it's kind of tricky to figure out like which frames you're going to are going to allow you to get through enemies and which aren't, especially with enemies that have random behavior. It's it just takes time to learn. So and even then, most of the time you're just still going to roll into the enemy, get hit, but get pushed forward. So it's like fine. You're just going to take damage, which is something that is quite important in this game. Like health management is really hard. You don't have that many hertz refill. It takes kind of forever to get hertz. And considering you most of the time are going to roll through enemies that are in your way, and you don't have that much invincible frames whenever you get hit, you can just easily get comboed or like get hit a bunch of time. And since there's not that many refill, well, you can be in dire situations really fast if you like don't manage your health properly. So the way I personally deal with that is that like every time there's a potential hurt refill, I just know that like okay, so I have 2 hertz here. Can I do test action until the next hurt refill with only 2 hertz? Yes, no. If no, then I pick up the hertz. If yes, well, I don't. It's kind of the things that you learn with good practice, and once you are like you know what you can do with your hands and with the game. And it's kind of a hard game to get familiar with. Like, sure, the controls are really easy. You can just move around and roll. But using that efficiently and with like good health management is not the easiest thing ever. Right, so you can already see right now that Fir3turtle and Danes are a few seconds away from each other, and you could tell like it's only really just movement. A very, very, very good time for and 30% for Fir3turtle. That's about 10 seconds, 10 minutes, which is far from bad. With the route that they are picking, it's like definitely good. All right, so Deeper Shrine, it's one of the easiest dungeon to learn because like it's kind of a tutorial. You're learning how to control Link. You're learning how to control the game. But if you want to do this dungeon optimally, it gets tough. So you see, you probably saw earlier like a lot. Eslo tends to talk to you a bunch to explain you things and stuff. And every time he wants to talk to you, the game checks if you're like walking or rolling. If you're rolling, then the game is going to wait a full cycle of a roll in order to start the cutscene. If you're just walking, the cutscene will start right away. That's to avoid like to just interrupt your roll and start the cutscene. Therefore, what you want to do is every time there is another text that you know is going to appear, like at this point, the artist Fir3turtle knows where every Eslo text box trigger. You want to always walk into this Eslo text boxes. It saves like 0.5 seconds instead of walking, just like what he did right there. He just rolled to the right and rolled down. Because if you roll, you're going to enter the text box right rolling and it's slow. Another thing that's worth mentioning is that like every time you roll, yeah, nice. That one was really nice. Every time you roll with Link, um, the direction is pretty much set, right? So you can either go like up, down, right, left. You can kind of influence that movement by holding diagonals. You're still going to go the main direction that you want, but you can influence Link's direction by a few pixels. And on long distance, that can allow you to like just drift far enough to be able to skip a block or something, skip a tile. It's useful when there's stuff on your way. Now this room is really fast. You just roll all the way to the top enemy, which is always going to be like spawning right there. Kill it, and then you just kind of improvise on the other ones. It's not too hard, but it's like the first fight that you can need to learn. What's coming up though is going to be much more tedious. It's a Mother Pillar, so you need to hit the nose, and once you hit the nose, you need to hit the tail. It can be done in 2 cycles. If you like hit the nose and then you hit the tail but too early, then you're gonna hit the 3 cycle. It's way more easy to than you would think to actually like uh, fail to cycle this fight. It's not hard to avoid it though. Like, you just need to not rush things, which most of the time is the reason why you lose time in this game. Alright, so here, the pre-need strat, you just roll down and then fire the gas jar, and that allow you to just go right down. It's harder to do than it looks like. And after that, you've got the lily pad section. So every time you see a lily pad, we've got like a set amount of inputs that we need to do. So like to right, to left, to up. And if you drift from that, you are in a hell of trouble. But thankfully, things are looking bright for Fir3turtle at least. Let's see if Bludane can do that section properly. He's already having trouble with it. The lily pad movement is something that is really tedious to learn and to get it down. Oh, those are sad fall. Yeah, the little guys that are around you is a pain because you kind of want to always move the lily pad, but at the same time, those pestos are here to ruin your day. And once they see you, they're going to target you. So you kind of have to kill them, but it's slow. But you kind of have to kill them because otherwise you get hit and you fall off the lily pad, and it's all sadness. Alright, Fir3turtle is pretty much done with the dungeon now. What's left is the boss, which is like one of the green true that you saw moving around the forest, except that like we're Minish. So what happens when you're 10 times slower, 10 times smaller, and the enemies are actually the same size? Well, they are perspectively big. Oh, Bludane is... Okay, so that's one of the silly mistakes that beginners tend to do. So, like, if you fall off the lily pad when you are trying to reach a shore, that's because the lily pad is not close enough to the shore. And no matter how many tries you are gonna put, you're always going to fall, even though it looks like you can make it. So most of the time you just fall once and then you fall a second times before you realize, oh wait, yeah, I can't go through. I need to push again. It's just annoying. Alright, so that's 7 hits, I believe. So Green Shoe is 3 cycle always. The amount of hit you need to do on the first and second cycle are random between 5 and 9. And the third one is always the same. What's different for the third cycle is that you can get 2 patterns. Either he's going to jump 5 times, which is slow, or he's going to fool you just like the first 2 rounds, and it's fast. It's only a couple seconds, so it doesn't really influence that much. Like, I think 1 hit is going to be a second slower, 1 extra hit is a second slower, and the 5 hit is like 2 seconds slower. It's just random numbers, because I'm not sure about them, but it's really not that important. Most of the time, though, at this level, it's going to determine whether or not you're ahead of your PB, so... Even if it's just a few seconds, it's still going to upset anyone who sees a split and like, oh yeah, I did well, but I'm behind. Shucks. Alright, so Fir3turtle is going to get his bombs. You only get 10 of them. And we're not going to get a bigger bomb bag. And they're pretty interesting because they don't really allow you to do much more than just destroy things in this game. You can get a little bit of damage boost, but it's not that important. Right there, he used it to not to just like get through the blocks and not have to pick up things, which can sometimes be slow because like every time you get a green rupee for the first time or like anything for the first time, you're gonna get a cutscene and you want to avoid that as much as possible. Though ultimately you probably get a rupee, the green rupee cutscene, because like there's no way you dodge it. And now we are meeting Hurdy-Gurdy, who is giving us the Kinstone bag that will allow us to do some cool skips later on. It's only like bonus rewards that you get from them, and like sometimes story, but there isn't that many Kinstones that you need for story. It's mostly just for bonus, so you have 100, about 100 of them, 100 of fusions that you need to do throughout the whole game in order to finish 100%. We're only going to do 3, 7, 8 of them throughout this run. And it's quite something to route, actually. Like 100% is mostly about like there's a bunch of mini games, but it's mostly about Kinstone fusions. And it's one of the big things that you need to route. It's quite interesting. And the 20 rupees that we got in the Smith house is going to be for this Deku Baba. Get a bottle that will allow us to proceed through the next area. Just need water, and we're good to go. So Montreal is quite an interesting place. As you can see, Fir3turtle only has 3 hertz right now. There's a lot of stupid enemies. Oh, also this is the cave that you need to 10 or 15 rupees in order to proceed if you did not do the full minute at the start of the run. There's a lot of enemies with random behavior. You've got all those bombs that explode. You've got boulders later on. You've got raindrops. You don't have heart refill that much throughout the whole climb. So it's basically the place where runners have the biggest chance to die. And hopefully it will not happen today for any of them, because if you die in this section, you just cry because you go back to the bottom of the Mont Prenel and not like midway through, and it's really sad. Also, you don't want to spill that water. It has happened to I'm pretty sure that it happened to anyone who runs this game for a while. Spilling the water, you just feel sad because you gotta go back to that water area. And it turns out that the fastest menu here is to equip the jar and the bowl in order to proceed, because that's like just fast. And you like really don't try to press A at this point. So Bluedanes is going to get his 15 rupees here, taking damage while entering the cave because he knows he's going to get furries. Fir3turtle dodge them because like he intends to not get any throughout the run, because he doesn't need the safety. Furries in this game allow you, like in any Zelda games, to revive and to get 4 hertz upon revival, which is quite the nerf compared to A Link to the Past 8 hertz fairies. I'm not sure for the Oracle games and Link's Awakening, but it's not as good as other games. Definitely not as good. They still come in handy when you only have 9 hertz though. Alright, so finish the first half of the climb. Oh, well, first third, because technically, like, this part is way longer than the previous one. And right here, that's a skip. There's the cave, right after the weird bridge, that you have no clues about. Like, is that's actually okay? Okay, all right, fine, sure. It kind of makes sense if you know, like, if you played the Zelda games, that there is probably something over there, but it's not obvious. And freaking pea hats always ruining your day. And you can just skip that by using the ghost jar and the mushroom. The game doesn't check the height we can have. Alright, so we got the grip ring, which is the first and only thing that you need. You actually only need the grip ring for this wall right there. And wall. Yeah, it's about the only wall that you need it for in the run. And those boulders right here, they'll deal half a hurt of damage every time that you get hit by them. And there's no real good way to dodge them. And as I mentioned before, this place is already like kind of hard to on your health. And now you've got these boulders that are just here to ruin your life. And yeah, it's pain. And now this section is just a good reminiscence of A Link to the Past, where you got raindrops, except like we get there and we are diminished, so we can get hit by raindrops, but since we're shmup gods, we can even dodge raindrops. And now Silly Boulder, yay. Alright, meanwhile, Bluedanes is painfully going through Mount Cornell. His menu is kind of off, because I guess he hasn't mastered his menuing yet. Again, it's his sixth run, so you kind of don't expect runner at that level to like perfectly know their menus, and can do mistakes with them. He's only at 2 hertz though, so I'm kind of worried about his safety. The p-hats were particularly mean. It does 4 rolls here, okay. Usually I personally only do 2, but I need to check that out later on. I might be in the wrong. Anyway. Ooh, the swag jump was I think it's Milldozers, these guys. Anyway. We are slowly but surely ending our climb or descent here, because we need to go all the way around to enter the mines. Alright, it looks like that Bluedanes did not get hit by any boulders, so he's pretty safe from now on. There isn't that many things that can kill him. The raindrops, even if they look deadly, they are certainly not as deadly as boulders, because you are rolling most of the time, and rolling like makes you sometimes untouchable, because you know, invisible frame, invincible. It's hard to pronounce. And there you go. Fir3turtle finished with 3/4 hurt. From here up to Cave of Flames, there isn't anything that can keep him. He's safe from death. Yet another run. So we just gave the 4 swords to Melta so that he can make it full again and allow us to beat Vadi, and that's why we're grabbing the 4 elements. Grab the 4 elements in order to imbue the 4 swords and make it great again. And now this dungeon. So Fir3turtle is on his last bomb. Thankfully, this dungeon is pretty nice, and is going to allow us for some consistent bomb refill, which is pretty neat. Now that pattern on these beetle guys was not the best, but still did a pretty good job with them. Oh, Bluedanes falling down while pulling the mushroom. That's quite something that you like. I don't understand why, but it happens way more often than you would expect. To just press up while using the ghost jar there. You don't ever need to press up. You're gonna get pulled by the mushroom anyway. Yeah, like I see myself, and now I see Dane like falling down. It's happens way too often. This room is quite RNG. You need. There's a few buttons that this Bulldozer can have. I really don't remember the names. Okay, I've named Bulldozer 2 things. Now, and I'm not sure anymore. Which is which. But yeah, like he got. Fir3turtle got a bad pattern there. You want to be able to pull off the mask of 3 at the same time. If you don't, well, it's slower than what you could do. And now the game is kind enough to allow you to just press left after leaving the minish spot, even though Fir3turtle actually went down a little. You don't actually need it. Alright, so in this room there is a 50 rupee chest. We're not going to grab it. It used to be faster, but now it's not really anymore, so considering we need drinking stones. So instead we're gonna pick 100 rupee chests later on. We need 60 rupee more in order to finish the run. And we used to grab 20 on the way to Cave of Flame and 50 here. But now we only grab 100 rupee chests because it's kind of in the way. Bluedane got coins unlucky with his bombs. He wasn't able to place them at the right areas, and got punished for that, so he had to place another bomb. Thankfully, he got 5 bomb drop earlier, which was pretty nice, because otherwise he would have been at 0 bombs, which is not nice here. But as you saw on Fir3turtle, right now he has 10 bombs because the bot that he took down always have 5 bombs, and you go through that room twice. Now that fight was really nice. That's about as good as it gets. You destroy 2 or 3 on the left with a spin attack. You kill the third one, the one at the very top. The one on the top right if you couldn't before, and then the last one you just finished them with a spin attack. Well timed and well placed, and it looks fancy and cool and it's fast. I'm pretty sure there's a faster strat than that you can do in, like, say, a TAS or something, but that's about as good as it gets when it comes to RTA. And now we got the Fir3turtle got the Cane of Flashy, which allow him to flip things. Now, don't really ask me why this item exists, but it exists. And yo, that was a really nice cycle. I didn't know you could do that. Or, like, the task does that cycle, but that's the first time I see someone pull it off in RTA. So those traps, you can't really use. Yo, nice, the timer started. Good job, Shimon. Anyway, yeah, What was I explaining? Yeah, the traps, you can roll through them with invulnerable frames, so you kind of have to do that. That's a bad mistake for Fir3turtle. So what you have to do here, you have to take damage. Just like that. Now that's like the pattern that you really don't want to see. Because like you can't reach the thing. You can't. You need to wait for it to pop off. And if you're not, if you don't, if you've never seen this situation, which happened rarely, you kind of don't know what to do. It's quite unfortunate that it happened to Fir3turtle, but still in the lead by quite a bit. Other than Bluedanes is quite ahead of his PB right now. Alright, good job, Chris. So yeah, Bluedanes is quite ahead of his PB. He's 32 seconds ahead, so it's really not a bad run for him. And what you just saw Fir3turtle do is a cycle skip on the platforms. You can like go through one extra platform at a time and save the cycle. You can do it twice, but you don't need to because it doesn't save time for the second time. Alright, let's see. Oh, Bluedane got the start of the fight against the Spiny Choo-Choo, but messed up the confirm. It's so bad because he didn't really have much to do. I feel like he just panicked and did not know really what to do. He had it though. He had it. He had to destroy the top Spiny Choo and then do the spin. Forgot first half. Oh, and then we've got this mistake that I've seen once, that I've done once, and it's because you're not stepping on the platform properly, so you actually like oh, English, spin the platform on you're on instead of the next instead of the other one. Ew. I don't know what capture card Bluedanes is using, but it's I'd say it's like a very bad one that you can get from. It's just a very bad one. It's at least you can see the game and it's not a camera. Nice. So this room that Fir3turtle was in and just did. He got 100 rupees and a green kinstone. That wastes about 20 seconds compared to not to just doing the room as fast as possible, but you need the kinstone and you may as well grab the rupees on the way because it's faster. And the cycle for the platform is kind of tight, and Fir3turtle got it just fine. Now Rock is on three. It's 3 cycles. His first one is pretty much set. You just use the cane of Apache. Well, you just go and ride a little bit, use the cane, and you should get it. As long as you time things properly. The 2 next one, the Rock is going to spew fire on you, and you just try to be at the top and destroy the shell from the top. Why from the top? That's because his animation when he falls down is actually faster. His head faces north. It's like only a matter of frames. And I didn't mention it, but fire has a really high chance to drop hurts, so that's why Fir3turtle is doing this silly. There's really low chance that you die in this fight anyway. It's pretty straightforward. Now, I don't know how Fir3turtle is executing this. It's very questionable, but hey, he did it, so I'm not going to say anything. And it's going to get sub 39 Cave of Flame, which is far from bad. It's actually like what you want to hit at the top level. Really not bad. Nothing to be ashamed of. Oh no, Bluedane missing the quick cycle on the platform. Missing this quick cycle is terrible because then like you can see how bad it looks like now. It just sad. It loses like what, I don't know, 25-30 seconds. It's just really annoying to fail because like it's something you really should practice because it's kind of strange, but once you have the hang of it, you can't really fail it anymore. It's really too bad. I can mess that up. So now that you can roll from there. Okay. Now that Fir3turtle got his sword, he's going to head for his castle and imbue the sword with the two elements that he got, earth element and fire element, and it's going to give us the next gimmick of the game. First one being obviously being able to shrink. The second one is sword gimmick. And first thing first, we're going to get this landmark. There's another landmark that we got earlier in South Hyrule, south of Hyrule. It's going to be useful later on for glitches preparation, pretty much. Now this Azotex is really annoying because it seems like you could roll into that entrance just fine, but you actually can't. So you need to stop your rolling spree in order to not get trolled by that. Oh, they know. Bluedane falling in the lava, which means that he's going to miss the two next cycles. Yeah, no, he's not getting that one. And that room was really not nice to Bluedane. Really not. So missing the cycle is that second loss. And alright, so the second gimmick of this game is being able to clone yourself. Sadly, you can't clone yourself just like in Fir3turtle's Adventures, where you are like 4 people and you can control 4 people at once and do crazy glitches because of that. If you've never seen a Fir3turtle's Adventure run, definitely check it out. It's a really glitchy and fun game to watch, especially with the tasks together. But yeah, you can clone yourself for a short amount of time if you've got the time for it. With this new sword, you can only have one clone at a time for now, but it's gonna change later on. It's having trouble hitting the shell of clear rock. It's kind of weird the way it works, is like you would expect some shots to hit, but sometimes it doesn't. It takes a little bit to figure out how to properly do this fight, but it's not too hard with practice. Okay, so the next fight on Fir3turtle, nice. This Moblin Fitness strat is courtesy of Hope is in Lost Loss. It looks easy because you just go down, go up, go down, and then go up again. It's not that obvious to pull off, sadly, because you need to time things. Bluedane messing up this fight, so he's going to have to sit through another cycle. So the problem is that like every time Gearrock reappears again, he has invulnerable frame on his shell, and if he spews fire like that, and you destroy him while he's doing that, it most of the time means that you're not going to be able to jump on his back unless you are confident with your gameplay. It's not that easy. So now that we've got the two swords and we've got a bunch of lore explaining why Eslo is now a duck or a cat, we can keep going and we're gonna figure out other plot stuff that Link doesn't know about, but we as a player still know, and doesn't quite matter. This is pretty much the only place where you're going to have like story shenanigans happening, besides the end game. This game is otherwise really lacking cutscenes, in a good way, because that means that you're mostly always doing things in the run, which makes it really nice. It's a pretty nice run to do. If you like the game and if you're watching this, um, definitely go check out the Discord and look into speedrunning this game, because it's a very fun game to speedrun. It's not hard to pick up. It has a few interesting glitches, but it's definitely fun to play and mess around, and really not that hard for a Zelda game. So Fir3turtle here just talk to that well, check that sign that allow him to start the boot quest. You've got 3 triggers for it. Either you look at the sign or you enter the swamp. Because in order to progress, you actually need the Pegasus boots. And this guy right there that fell asleep can grab them. And in order to wake him up, we're going to spend 60 rupees on a wake mushroom. And that way we will get our boots. So this save and quit is pretty much exclusive to VC version, because VC version has fast save and quit. It's actually faster to save and quit from here than leave, grow up, and leave the house. Only on VC though, because save and quit is actually faster on VC. Like, I think it's 2 or 3 seconds faster on VC, and I'm unsure of the amount of time it saves, but it does save time. A lone range is pretty straightforward. I really can't figure out how you do this roll when you're living the Tristan. I really can't do it. It's a weird one, for sure. Anyway, Bluedane got his OP sword, or more OP sword. Because not quite OP, he can't get destroy stones yet. Yeah, like the Discord the Discord of Minish Cap has a lot of resources and a lot of people who are willing to help when it comes to running or strats or whatever. You can go there and ask for help. I believe that Bluedanes here, being one of the newer people, can advocate for it. I believe that he asked for a few questions on Discord before. There's been a lot of help with it. Alright, let's see how he deals with the... Alright, just nice. So that's like a slightly slower strat that Bluedanes used, where you just go down and the moblins just are laid out just nicely enough so that you just have nothing to do and you just swing your sword and GG. Problem though is that like you lose a few like 1 second probably going back to the center spot where Eslo talks to you and tells you, hey, here's my story. So it's slightly slower in that regard, but infinitely more easy to pull off. Oh, and Fir3turtle got his boots, so now we don't have to worry too much about rolling them. The main thing about boots is that it's more worth it on long distance, while rolling is better for short distance. The moment the moment you need to use the boots instead of rolling is when you have more than 3 rolls to do. 3 rolls and boots is about the same speed. There's a new strat for Darknuts. It's courtesy of PPL. It's kind of hard to pull off though. And Fir3turtle kind of messed that up. There is a way easier strat for it. I definitely encourage anyone to use, which is just you use your boots on the wall, you bonk on the wall, you get behind the darknet, and you get 2 or 4 heads depending on the pattern that gave you. But rolling through is faster, but definitely not easier. And now that is the last lily pad section of the run. Because we've got new strat. It used to not be, but it is now. The troll bites are annoying, but definitely not too hard to handle. And so this save and quit is already faster than just walking out. And it's also allow us to do an RNG manipulation in order to get to Stoking Stones. So that's the JP and the J arrow. They're named like that because of their shape. And we need, as I explained, we need 4 green kingstones in order to skip the flippers. Spoiler alert. And in order to do that, we need 4 green kingstones. We pick up 1 in Cave of Flame. We pick up Zeus 2 here. Oh well, we pick up 2 in Cave of Flame, sorry. One in this big room and 1 right before the big room. And these 2 here are really convenient because they're really fast to get and they prevent you from having to do any sort of convoluted manip that you could have in the past. Which is your British manip if you wanted to go slow, but something like less of a that is less annoying to mess up, or the strat in Fortress of Wind, which now is replaced by something known as armor clipping, which I do believe that Fir3turtle is going to go for. There's only 3 people out there that go for armor clip. In Fortress of Wind, we're going to be able to see that in a good 8 minutes. Probably a little less. Most likely a little less. Now that we are done with the swamp, we are entering the Windruns, which is a very interesting area because it's really linear. It's mostly about like rooms. It's like a dungeon, but not really. it's really weird, but it's a really interesting area. You've got a bunch of quote-unquote rooms that you need to go through by destroying enemies most of the time. It's pretty neat. I quite like it. I quite like it when it works out. I don't really like how you have to handle it in 100% though, because it has a lot of silly stuff, including like the longest heartbeats of the history, but it's pretty nice. Oh, I say that, but the swamp actually has the longest one to get. But yeah, like basically you need to shrink most of the time and activate this Armus right there. And Fir3turtle on the brink of death. Hopefully it doesn't get hit more. Um, so I did mention before that um, Montreal was the top one place where you can die in a run, but this is the second big section with from the moment you get the from the moment you leave Cave of Flame actually to enter Fortress of Wind, there is no hurt refill. So you've got a bunch of moblins that can deal up to 1 hurt of damage. You've got the Darknuts, you've got damage that you're gonna get from using the boots, because you can just not care about enemies when using the boots. As you could see on Bluedanes stream. And that's why Fir3turtle, to keep it safe, actually took a hurt. It takes kind of a while to get them, but yeah. Cool strat right there. You activate the Armos while charging your sword in order to clone yourself and kill it with your clone. So depending on the RNG, it can go bad or well. I really don't understand why people have such trouble with darkness lately. Just like I saw Bluedanes fight, and I don't understand how we got to such a convolutedness. Darkness are the strat series for Darkness is quite fast and it's really safe if you're unsure about how to fight them. Though it still know them pretty well considering like how convoluted it once, but like this strat series is really not that bad and you should go for it. It's just good. Just use the boots on the wall. Just do it. Unless you're familiar with better strat, like Fir3turtle, if you're starting to learn the game, just go for the darkness strat. Practice it a little bit to figure out the timing. That's it. Alright, so Fir3turtle is going to go for something called Arrow Cancel. I already used that quite a bunch. But basically, every time you use the arrows, there's a little bit of a cooldown until you tuck your bow. Real nice. Just nicely executed. With the roll strat, which is again way harder to use than the normal strat. Oh, actually, not picking up the bombs. Huh. Oh, I see everyone pick up the bombs here. First time I ever see someone not pick them up. Oh no, is Bluedane... Okay, no, he just messed up. And rip. You definitely want the two stones from this patch of grass. If you don't get them, there is no chest containing green stones. Besides Palace of Wind, which are like the House of Wind, which you can't really access, and the Cave of Flame, which we already left. Okay, so Fir3turtle is just got it. This is the one big use of bombs throughout the run. I didn't mention it, but he did go for armor clipping and got it. Using a roll, like manipulating the RNG in order to get the armors to allow him to clip through and not have to use to shrink. Oh, and fast strat on the muzzle. Oh my god. Nice. Okay, so this strat, if he pulls off, is really neat to see. I believe that he's the only one with still suit, whoever goes for it. So we'll just shut up and hear indulge that and explain the BK skip when you get there on Bluedanes. Right, so that's about how you want to see the second cycle to go. You just Use your zero, it works. G. But the third one, if he goes for it, it's going to be pretty cool to see. Oh, nice! And he rolled through the grabby thing, which saves a few seconds. It's incredibly hard to get, and you never get it on purpose. All right. No, we got hit. All right, that's kind of how you want to do it, but not really. You can only really go for it on the third cycle. Because otherwise it's slower because of menus in RTA at least. So yeah, muzzle is recycle. First one never really too much of a problem. Second one can be RNG, and third one the RNG is mitigated by the arrow and boost strat. Oof, though. Yeah, one of the top tier gold that you can have in this game is sub 1 Ocarina. It's really hard. it's really hard to get. It's 1007 though, and he's tied with his PB right now. So yeah, decent run. I'm sure Fir3turtle would not agree with that, but hey, it's a run. It's a run. So now we've got our Ocarina, and the Ocarina allow us to kind of break the game. You're gonna see that in a sec. And in order to get to the next dungeon, we need the flippers, glitchless wise. But we're not going to get the flippers, we're going to do glitches and get the magic boomerang. And with the combination of magic boomerang and Ocarina, we're gonna do great things. It was plus 18 actually at Fire Element. Alright, so what he's trying to do right now, and just got it. Oh no, it doesn't work. So okay, so he got Ocarina glitch, but then he got picked up by the bird. And if you get picked up by the bird, you actually still get Ocarina glitch, but the probability that you want out of Ocarina glitch is not there anymore. Oh no. So every time you use your so if you use the Ocarina while you enter a door, it stops the animation where you enter an area. And that's kind of what we're using. We're using the lady so that she pulls us inside the door. So it looks like that we're going to enter, but we actually aren't entering. And we start that animation. So the game thinks that we are entering the house, and therefore like it stops having any collision that is NPC wise. There's still collisions with walls and stuff, but this door right there, it's the same kind of collision than with NPC, and NPC are you can go through NPCs on the first time you use the current glitch. However, if you go through a room, if you get picked up by the bird, you actually lose that ability, and that means that you can go for it. Either way, the main reason that we did that was to avoid starting the book quest, which takes forever, because we don't really need the books. We don't technically need the bracelet or the strength bracelet that we're getting right now. You can skip the bracelet, but it's really unsafe, so we're still going for it. It saves a minute 30 if you skip them and get the strict first try, but definitely don't want to go for it in a race. And we did all that just for this. Now we also took damage for later stuff. Well, yeah, it's actually 150. I always say 130 because it's stuck in my mind, but it's actually 150. It saves. It's quite a decent amount of time, and that's what the record got. even though like the record isn't that great, it got nearly 2-minute time save in the run, as well as another 40 seconds time save that is quite unreliable. Alright. Bludane got the stride for the Darkling. There you go. That's what you want to see. But yeah, like right now we got the bracelet. We're getting the magic boomerang. We talked to the first single. We need to fuse with the 3 other ones. And for that we need our green kingstones. Getting there. So as I explained, I actually did not explain it, but in order to get the flippers, you need to get all 3 books. It takes quite a while, and it takes like a total of 10 minutes to get them. It's really tedious and annoying, and as like it takes 10 minutes to get the boots and the flippers. Getting just the boomerang takes about 7:30. So like technically, flipper skip saves a few minutes, and even though like it looks like it takes forever to get the boomerang, it really is not that fast. Oh god! So Bluedanes is going for the BK skip right there. So you want to use the mitts on the stump while you are using diagonal. So basically the input is like diagonal, use the mitts, and then hold just right. And after that you need to hit, there's like 4 frames that you can hit in order to get the BK skip. It's just timing on the explosion. Got it. No! I think he's doing it too low on the stump. So okay, so the slow animation, it weighs like 12 seconds, I think. I'm not sure about the amount, but it's about 10 seconds. Which is less than you would expect, but still. It happens when you release the diagonal too early, when you use the mitt. And it's just soul crushing every time you see it. Alright, can you do it? So the problem was, yeah, he's not buffering for the right frames, for the right frame, and he's starting buffering too early. Like when the problem with buffering is that it kind of makes you lose track of wherever you are, so you kind of want to buffer as late as possible. Like that's my advice for buffers. You want to try and buffer as late as possible, or as late as you feel confident with, because buffering too early makes it A, super slow, and B, it's a mess. So okay, so right now we got the Fir3turtle got the boomerang, and he's trying to die as he opens the door. He got a fairy earlier, which is why he took so much damage. In order to open the door, and that way he can get Ocarina Glitch out of the door way. Because the only like real way to get Ocarina Glitch in the overworld is to either cancel the door animation, because like anytime you try to enter a house, you open the door and enter the house. There is no in between. You lose control of Link unless you die right after opening the door. You can also use like NPCs to get through, but it's weird, and you need good RNG to have the NPC on the way. And after that, you need to not mess up Ocarina Glitch. Which, by the way, I did not explain it, but Ocarina Glitch is a 1-frame trick. You need to press up and press Ocarina at the right frame, And it allows for, well, I explained it a little earlier, you can go through NPCs. On the first screen you use that. It also allows you to never go down, so you can go down the layer. And that's what was used here. It basically allows us to go out of bound if you know how to use it, and if you've got something that allow you to go at a higher layer. And that's what we use to get the big key. You don't actually need the big key to finish a dungeon, but you do need the big key in order to skip flippers. You need the big key and the boomerang, so it loses over an aisle of the dungeon. It loses 20 seconds to get the big key and do that, but it saves time overall because you skip the flippers. Yeah, the ice block puzzle is a pain. You don't really want to deal with that, yet we have to, because this is a faster route. So now that we got Ocarina Glitch, she's going to get the small key down there. Because we still, like, it's not required per se, but it's just going to save us some time, because that means that it's a big, small key that we don't have to grab later. And now that we're going to get Ocarina Glitch again, for the following trick. And this trick is going to use both Ocarina Glitch and the boomerang. So we are going to use the boomerang as we open the door. That's going to make, like, we're still going to be in this room, but we're in the next one actually. Oh no, Fir3turtle, no. Okay, so the problem is you want to be high enough when you transition into the next room. And because you have Ocarina Glitch active, you can actually like still move freely, because you can go down the layer. It's not going to beat your world record. Yeah, I used to have it before you stole it from me. Thing. Oh wait, no, it was PPL. Anyway, he's going for it again. The problem is, in order to you need the right subpixel in order to be at the right spot to not soft lock like you did. And to do that, we use the cane. We have these little sparklies, and we just go up like that. Cancel Ocarina Glitch by entering a white load screen, because white load remove Ocarina Glitch, and then we get the blue warp early, and GG. Meanwhile, Bluedanes is still struggling with this glitch. Oh, come on! You can do it, Bluedane! I'm sure you can. Oh, I feel so sad for him too, as well. He was 50 seconds ahead. Now he's more than 3 minutes behind. This glitch is tough for beginner. Like, I fully understand having trouble with it, but I feel like Bluedanes did not practice it enough. It shouldn't be that hard, and I definitely think that the problem is that he's buffering too much. My advice for it is wait for the last red blip, and then start buffering. You've got like 4 frames for it as well, so it's not, even on a 60 FPS game, you've got far enough frames to not miss it. And yeah, that small kit that we got before the BK skip, that allows us to get to Giant Blue Chew earlier than what's planned. This dungeon at this point doesn't look like anything close to what we do casually, but hey. And we're just doing this fight because the lantern is actually required to finish the game. Shucks. It's only required for the next boss. otherwise we could actually skip the lantern altogether, and that would skip a lot of things as well. But hey, gotta get the lantern anyway to beat the dungeon. Progress. Come on, Bluedanes, you can do it. Makes me so sad. Come on. It's too late. Alright, so now that Fir3turtle got the lantern, he's going to activate the last big lever, which is going to be done using the Arcana glitch, skipping the second half of the dungeon, and you really don't want to do the second half of the dungeon. It's long, it's tedious, and it's hard, making it one of the hardest dungeon in Glitchless, if not the hardest dungeon. So we're basically going all the way around out of bound and reaching to the room. And coming up is the cool boss of the game, the boss that everyone loves. It's so great that it's Fir3turtle's waifu. Everyone loves this boss. No one's hated. I like that strat version. I like it. I like it. Very, very neat. So, okay, so the first cycle, he's always going to use one attack. Always use boulder attack. It's not hard at all. You just straight back with sword or shield. Second one, it's still a pattern. It's going to suck you once, then throw a boulder, suck you a second time, and throw 2 boulders, and repeat. You shouldn't need to see the repeats, but hey, it exists. It did it! Yo, Bluedanes did it while I was looking at the other screen. Nice! Alright, now don't die. Okay? The third so on Big Octo, the third cycle is it's random, and it can either use throw at you boulders. It's going to throw at you 3 boulders in a row, or it's going to suck you, throw a boulder, and use an ink attack that loses 20 seconds. And that's what Fir3turtle got here. So that's what we call 1 ink. And you can get up to 2 ink, because, you know, as I explained, that's how it works. You can also get charge in between, randomly. Which is kind of whatever, it's not ink. It's low, sure, but it's not ink. Oh my god, Fir3turtle got 2 ink. So 1 ink is the most common thing to get. 0 ink and 2 ink are both as rare I'd say. I think 2-ink is rarer than 0-ink, but at this point, whatever. Now we can still get sucked in, which is hurt, but yeah, there you go. At the very least, the last boulder is the last boulder he can throw, so. Alright, Bluedane, you can do it. Just beat Mazel. That was an interesting roll right there. Neat. So at this point, the result of the race is pretty clear. Bluedanes is not winning this one. Unless like major stuff happens, but and like the bigger thing that can happen is Fir3turtle gets a current glitch and somehow soft locked right after. Because there is no more save and quits until the very last dungeon. So if you soft lock into this game after after carrying a glitch on the room you are in, if you roll, if you open the menu, if you talk to someone, if you bonk, the game is going to soft lock and you just can't cry. Hey, don't you? That's not true, Darkies. You really well know that you can beat him. Sure you can. But yeah, Fir3turtle and Darky Squid are the two biggest shot at this tournament. So it's going to take a lot out of anyone in order to beat the two. Can happen though. Again, like right now, Fir3turtle is 2 minutes 43 behind his PB after Water Element. And there's some people out there besides Darky and Fir3turtle that can like pull ahead at this point. It's actually pretty interesting if you look up the brackets. You've got Fir3turtle and Darky that have pretty much the same skill. I'd say. Okay, so Dane's got he got a grand glitch, but then got picked up by the bird. And then you've got 4 people who have the same PB and about the same skill. You've got Quo, PPL, Vlak, and me. And fun fact, there is going to be a race between PPL and me on Tuesday, and it's probably going to be the most interesting race of the tourney so far. So, because like we basically have the same skill. So it's going to be very interesting. So you remember that fusion that we did with the old guy in the town? Well, it allows us to get into the House of Wind, and with the current glitch, we can go straight NPCs, and we can basically enter Palace of Wind early. That skips going to King's Valley, going through the waterfall, and cloud tops. It saves a good 15 minutes, I think. It's the biggest thing of skip of the run by far. It requires doing 2 Ocarina glitches in a row, which is something pretty scary for beginners, or even like anyone running this game for a while, because even if Ocarina glitch is just a timing thing, it's still a timing thing with 1 frame to do it on a 60 FPS game. It's not something someone can say, yeah, I'm consistent at it all the time. I used to be, but I can say I am still right now. That was a swag shot. Alright, so it looks like Bluedanes got the Ocarina glitch. So it's good in Tataria now. And yeah, the boomerang is actually like quite useful in this dungeon for hitting switches and stuff. You can use arrows or bombs, but they're just very, very convenient. So the lantern strat here is pretty easy. Like, it's way easier than the old strat we had that use a sword, and it allows just like that to kill all the wizards as they spawn before they disappear. Pretty neat. You've got multiple ways to handle the last cycle, but it's way more lenient than the old strat. That is a much less stupid window. So about Palace of Wind. So about Palace of Wind, it's one of the hardest dungeons to execute because there's a lot of things to do. It's quite overwhelming, but with good enough practice, it becomes quite interesting to do, and it's quite consistent actually to do well in that dungeon. Besides that one, the few obvious things. So in that last floor that you saw, you could, instead of doing all the skips that the floor skip that Fir3turtle did, you can actually go in another room and do what we call cutscene occurring glitch. And if you do that, if you pull it off, you save a minute 50 because then you don't need to get the bracelets. The problem is if you fail it, then you lose 2 minutes. So no one really goes for it, and basically allow you to skip that room because that bot room right there. It's still slower if I recall, but if you skip the bracelet, then yeah, go for it. Fire did get into it, and he also messed up the BK skip once. Alright, nice, I got the cycle. Cycle he got is actually tougher than it looks to get. Yeah, so cutscene occurring glitch. I mentioned that one that allow you to skip the bracelet. The problem with it is like you've got one shot at it, and if you fail it, well, reset. And it's a 1-frame trick, just like any occurring glitches. And you've got another one in the next floor, which saves 40 seconds if you get it. If you don't get it, it's fine, you just lose 40 seconds. And it's a 1-frame trick, and it's not fun. Because like the problem is, like, sure, it's a 1-frame trick, but you saw how good Fir3turtle was at getting occurring glitches, right? So it shouldn't be that bad. And you've got pause buffer as well, so it shouldn't be that bad, right? The problem is you need to pause buffer an A input, and you can't really match that A input if you are skipping frames. So yeah, it's tough. Let's see if we get it though. So just as a old eye, there's 1 frame where you can use the occurring glitch. You use the occurring. Yo, we got it! Man. Yeah, like it is in this game. There is also a Puff tool from Pikmin. So yeah, he got a current glitch. Second one in the tournament to get it. First one was PPL. Or at least I don't know of. And that skips like 2 rooms. Pretty neat, huh? Oh man, I'm jealous. That guy. He's starting to get consistent. Damn. So, okay, that's not the final glitch though. This next glitch is pretty much the same thing as it's actually the same glitch as as what's done in Temple of Droplet. except this time it's down here and it skips the rest of the dungeon. Most of the time people use a lantern because it's like faster, but you can still use a boomerang, and he already got that equipped, so yeah. So Georg, it's quite a scripted fight. So when you are practiced enough with it, like it's a script, but it's not really easy to do all the way every time, especially for beginners. But when you know the fight and when you've practiced enough, it's really not that hard to do well. Even if you mess us up a little bit just like that, you can really easily recover. The big thing is to just manage to redirect the bullets by blue guy and just get his spin attack on blue guy as well. You need to hit 2 attacks on blue guy. Yo, got the cloneless. This man. Cloneless is only doable with that setup where you've got the 3 eyes close to each other, and it's really precise. It's not the only one that I've seen like pulling it off easily, but it's still a mess to get. It's not too hard to not lose life on Georg. Okay, so Bluedanes is going for the enter. Oh yeah, okay. So the strat that Bluedanes is using to enter Temple of Droplet right now is a strat that everyone uses besides PPL and Fir3turtle, which is kill that guy and use the bombs and the boots at the same time. The problem is you need to press them both at the same time. It's kind of hard to figure out, so sometimes you're gonna open the door, sometimes you're not. And if you're not, that's because you use the bombs a frame before using the boot instead of simultaneously. And it got the Ocarina glitch as well, so easy. And that setup was brought by Yadra121, who is also working on who found a bunch of strats in this game, and she's currently working on the Four Swords Adventures task, which I mentioned before, and it's a good task. You should check out the work in progress on YouTube. It's mind blowing. There's no other word. Alright, so Fir3turtle got finished all the dungeons, got all the elements, he's now getting his 4 swords. And we're getting to the finale. Why did you stop? What the fuck? Fir3turtle, please. Now that's not going to give him a good DHC time, is it? Alright, now he's got his fully upgraded 4 sword. It's actually stronger now. It wasn't stronger with all the imbuement before, but now it's actually stronger. Which is very convenient considering the next dungeon is packed with fights and they are not easy. And we're seeing the same cutscene as the start of the game. Wow. Is that a reset, guys? Kappa? Kappa. Alright. I see how Bluedanes goes and gets his big key. It shouldn't be too... It still has like a few Ocarina glitches to do in this dungeon and the BK skip. Hopefully it doesn't mess it up as badly as Fir3turtle. God. Ice block puzzles are fun. Alright, so we actually realized, because you are able to read Japanese, right? We realized that Zelda was is actually the one holding the force that Vade was looking for. And now that he knows, because he watched the intro cutscene with us, he's now knocked us out and he's trying to suck up the force out of Zelda. And we now have to save her. And fun fact, getting the Force Sword is actually the trigger to unlock the last dungeon of the game. It's not the cutscene, so you can technically like skip the cutscene if you want to. The problem is that we want to, but we can't because there is an ESLO text blocking it. So what Fir3turtle is getting right now, you're not saying it's not obvious for someone who doesn't know the game. He's basically I love this role. It makes no sense the way this role works, but it happens if you basically roll while waiting for the cutscene. It makes no sense whatsoever. Why do you go down up? It makes no sense. But yeah, he got cutscene walking, so it happens when you trigger two cutscenes at the same time. He got multiple of them at, so the first one is with the minister and the ESLO text, then the minister and saving the soldier, then saving the soldier and saving the other soldier. Makes it slightly faster. And now Fir3turtle is having trouble with all kind of glitches. Because this glitch is inconsistent, yay! Nice jump and getting hit by the fire. God. I can already feel the salt, even though like the Fir3turtle mentioned he was salty on Discord. Which one I believe it was Temple of Droplet BK skip. I can feel it right now as well. So there is two things that you can do here. You can not have to use a cape, which Fir3turtle failed, sadly. And you can also not bonk if you do movement correctly, which he also failed. This DHC is overall like one of the hardest dungeons of the game, if not the hardest dungeon of the game. It's really hard to do everything properly. It's really not working out for Fir3turtle right now. There's a lot of strats and a lot of things that you can do in this dungeon, and Filling adventures here for a little It's fine, got it. Meanwhile, Danes is fighting Blue Chew. Only half the dungeon's slower than Fir3turtle, and this is the second save and quit that's faster on Wii U VC. And that's why he actually exited the dungeon so that his spawn point would be there instead of next to the sanctuary. And now we're using Gokaran Glitch in order to go out of bound and kind of break the dungeon. So if you remember how DHC works, in order to get the big key, you need to use 4 small keys, which are basically scattered in all 4 towers of the dungeon. But thanks to Gokaran Glitches, we can skip most of the puzzles and also save some key uses on the first half. Because all we want is just to get four small keys, and that's what we're gonna do. We also want to get to the big door, get the 2 teleporters, because one of them is for the big key, and the second one is for actually the big door where the boss is. So you had to route that accordingly. And the route is pretty much set in stone for ages now. That's like a 2007 route right there that you're witnessing. All kind of glitches has been known since ages. I think it was Pika on not Pika Palace, but Pika something on YouTube that found them with like this. And the videos with them is actually like pretty funny to watch, because it's like these blue screens with white text, white capital text on it to explain stuff. It's really like 2007. It's pretty very vintage strats, video strats. Bring back. Anyway, what Fir3turtle just got here is door skip, which I believe is a trick that Bluedanes is going to have a lot of trouble with, because it's a trick that all new runners have trouble with at the start. Darknet, there's no way it goes for Darknet cutscene skip. It only saves like at best a few seconds, and it's like not worth it. So he still has a Ocarina glitch active right now, which means that he has to do some convoluted movement in his room in order to get through. It's still faster than using the Ocarina again. Alright, so 4, 5, 6, 7. Roll. So this fight is, yeah, easy. You just roll at the right timing, the darkness spawns, but before he gets a chance to do anything, you just infinite it. Easy. You can actually skip this cutscene, but with cutscene occurring glitch, but it's stupid. And it doesn't save that much time. So you shouldn't really go for it. So the problem with Ocarina glitch is you need to roll before being able to use the items that's on sword. Or before using any items. I think you need to, yeah, you need to roll before being able to use any items when you have Ocarina glitch active for whatever reason. Oh well, most items. I know that you can't use the cape right away, you need to roll. I'm not sure about the sword anymore. Alright, so Bluedanes is entering Octo. Well, Fir3turtle is basically like a room away and the save input away from the big key. He got his 4 keys now, so it's just down to big boys. It's a final stretch. And right now, he should go for what's known as Darkened Planet. So remember that every time you reset the games, the RNG resets to 0, or like to the default, the first values, and the RNG is basically a list in GBA games. So it's always the same. It's always the same set RNG. So if you always do the exact same thing, you're always going to get the same exact result. The problem is it's like quite hard on long distance, but it's doable on shorter points, and it's doable on this instance, for example. So what you're trying to manipulate is the Darknut's behavior in the last room. So you're going to fight 3 Darknuts, and what you want to do is have them charge at you, because charge attack allow you to easily one round them. And you can do that using RNG manip, and he's using the... Alright, looks like you got it. Now it's just down to confirming the manip, and it should get three charges. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I messed that up. Forgot to slash and went too far, which changed the RNG too much. It's still not too much of a problem for someone as skilled as Fir3turtle to like get through the darkness fight. It's one of the toughest fights to learn, and it's one of the fights that is really hard to figure out when you're beginning to run the game. Also, Bluedanes, you really ought to stay as close as possible to Octo when he's using the ink, because otherwise you're losing time with that if you try to run away. Okay, he did.
That just found yellow.
Alright, so Vade. 3 forms. First one is quite straightforward. We need to suck in the armors on the second part of the fight. First it's 2 eyes, then it's 4 eyes. Then we need to... Then it's 4 eyes armored. And he has a random amount of teleport you can use. That was a pretty good fight. Alright, so now he's using boot cancel again to fire arrows more rapidly into his boss fight. Oh, that's already bad RNG. Damn you, buddy. He couldn't do anything against this formation, sadly. So you need to, that was close. You need to hit all 4 eyes with your bows, then with your clones, before being able to damage the boss. And he has random pattern and movement, and it's really tedious when it doesn't work out. What are you doing, Fir3turtle? I don't know what you were trying to do, but that was not the right thing. And yeah, you can actually use spins like he's doing right now in order to save a cycle, because Validu's life is HP value is weird. It saves a cycle, and it's a fast cycle where it just moves around like that very fast. Really unpredictable and uses a bunch of attacks. It gets really annoying. And there you go. Besides the first cycle, that was okay. That was a pretty okay fight. And he's supposed to keep the boots after the very good fight, but messed up apparently. Meanwhile, Bluedanes is going for the Palace of Wind. There you go. It's really nothing you can do at this point. I'm pretty sure. I hope that Fir3turtle is not gonna die. He should pick up of the fairy down there or not. Okay, no, he decides to be a man and go through with all the hurts he had. That is 3 isn't too bad, but it can give you bad surprise and kill you if it happens. Hopefully it doesn't happen here. Alright. Disarm. Really nice RNG right there. It's not the perfect RNG, but that's about the best you can expect in RTA. Nice. Nice job, buddy. I don't really know what Fir3turtle is doing, but alright, sure. I guess. Really nice RNG again. Nothing to say about it. And now the 3 eyes, so you need to throw back the blue balls 3 times. And it's pretty precise. So hopefully you get it first way. This is good. You can still get hit by the electric ball, which hits for like 3/4 hurt, but that's only if you mess up the blue balls. So that's pretty much set right now. And it's going to be a sub 150. Easy wrap up. And GG. Alright, that was a race. It's time done in 1:48:27 his time. Alright, so on Bluedanes screen we have the wizard fight. He messed up the very beginning of the strat, so he's going to have to go through it the normal way. Still trying to go with bombs, but yeah, once you start messing up the strat, just stop using bombs. It's not worth it. You're not going to get that work anytime. Hey, Fir3turtle. Yeah, you messed up a bit. But you went for a cool for cool strat on Maisel. That was nice. It was a very good time. Like it wasn't a good time until Locarno, and then everything started to crumble. I'm like fourth now in this RLM, aren't I? I want to check. I'm fifth. Dang. Like beating best in me. For that. Yeah, you got a Katsenoji. Turtle interview, that's expecting Fir3turtle to ever use a make. But if you want to come to the SRO server, the SR server, and we'll see what we can think of while we trade in the chair for Bluedanes to finish. He has like no chance to beat his PB, and this is we've got a good like 30 minutes to go. I gotta say I starting to lose my energy here. Oh yeah, right. Got Katsenoji, but 2 ink and messed up a lot of things. Still, like that was an interesting race, and that was still definitely a good time. All right. So sadly, Bluedanes having some unoptimized movement wasn't able to cut the cycle with the roller thing. You can actually like not have to wait or use a cape if you're fast enough, but sadly, since Bluedane's movement was good at the start, but not good at the end. That's kind of the pitfall that most people fall in when they are speedrunning games. Also, not going for the fastest track here. I really don't know why people go for this, but they do.
May I just say hello?
Yes.
Do we want to invite the runners for an interview?
He didn't say if he was going to join or not, and since Fir3turtle usually doesn't have a mic, I don't know if he's going to join. So...
Okay, I just want to stop in because I had my headphones half off and I was kind of half listening. So...
You can join? Okay. Then I guess you can just link him to SRO channel. ZSR channel. SR. I'm getting tired. I'm not sure if he has an invite for the ZSR Discord.
Well... Hey, Turtle.
Hey.
Hello. Is it working?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
Congrats.
Yeah. That one was very interesting.
It was, yeah. That was quite a run up to Ocarina. I have to say, looking at your splits, you were like sure it was not sub 1, but it was still on pace for PB, I guess. That's what you could say.
Yes. It was very good until enter Chaos Flames, then I messed up the roller bit through. Roller bite through a bit.
Oh yeah, right. You had the two roller bites on the last spot, and you didn't know what to do, right? Oh no, we
Yes,
didn't.
but
Oh yeah, right. Yes,
I think
okay.
I was ahead of my PB after Ocarina though, so I guess it's fine.
You were -0, yeah. But yeah, like when what what happened there was that like you couldn't go through, so you couldn't pick up the last roller bite. So the way to go is what you went for on the last on the second try. You don't you can't get over there, so you have to wait for them to unroll and then take damage and use a sword. That's what you went for the second time. I think that you were going to use a minecart, right?
Yes,
Uh,
I was thinking
about that, yeah.
resetting the room.
Yeah, that was the other way around it, but would have definitely been slower. Now,
Yeah, I dropped out. Then I messed up the
yeah,
house OG, the cafe OG,
yeah, that
like
was
twice.
the first time though. That was kind of sad because you got picked up by the birds, and that's like the only place where if you get picked up by the birds, it's just strip.
Yeah.
The other thing was the BK skip in Temple
Oh
of
yes, the
Droplet.
boss door clip.
Yeah. What happened there? Did you think
I
you got
think
it, or did you just
yeah,
try
I
to
got
go
it
for it?
actually, but I think my stick, not my stick, but I went diagonal instead of right.
Oh, okay, so
Down,
that's why.
So you use your
diagonal
control
and
stick
down.
instead of your D-pad?
No, I always use the control stick, but I messed up
Oh
when I want
no,
to hold
really?
right, but I hold like a little bit too much down.
No. Okay, so what happened to
Oh no,
Bluedanes here? Just do it. Just do it.
Oh no.
Do the second half.
Oh no.
So what happened here is you're supposed to use the lantern, then open the door, but what I did was open the doors, then try to use the lantern, which doesn't work. Um, yeah. Uh, well, you can. It can keep going. It's going to lose 3 minutes, but it can still keep going. It's not turnover, um, like if you mess up the buzz door clip in in Temple of Droplet, but we get to see something that a few people have seen for a while, and that was the hardest mini boss fight ever. Yeah. Or do you think do you have like anything that you want to point out in your run, other than that, Fir3turtle?
I did some swag strats at the end of Mazan.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, dude, that's so
Yeah.
cool. You kind of messed it up though, didn't you?
Yes,
Like some
I messed up a
wasn't.
little. I could have been faster, but
Yeah,
still
it's a
looked good.
really yeah hard strat to get. I was really glad that you like went for it. It's a very cool strat. What else is there to say? 2 ink on Octo. Well,
Yeah, I can't do much about that.
thank God that it was after failing the board so yet. After that, I think
Yes.
that it went pretty okay. Your DHC was pretty bad, but eh.
THC in a ways.
Yep. Well, good job on your race. So who are you racing against next? Is it cool?
Sparadit.
Is it cool
Spara.
or
Spara.
oh Spara? Okay. Well, good luck with that, Spara.
Alright.
Spara has a much better time than Bluedanes, so it's going to be a much tighter race. But yeah, how do you feel about this match? Feel like you have a chance to fail?
No, I'm confident.
It's expected.
Alright, so thanks so much for giving us the interview. We really appreciate that. And good luck on your next match. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, thank you for the good luck.
No problem. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too.
Have a good evening, yeah. Oh, it's pretty nice because I'm seeing Bluedanes go through those rooms, and it really reminds me of those old days. It was like what 2 years ago at max when buzzer clipping was found, and that's pretty much going the way I remember. All those old strat. It looks like he like saw how all this old strat works. So he's executing those rooms, sure, like not as well as you would expect. This room to go, like not optimized, but it's still going through them pretty well. Um, and there's still a little bit those, but he's like what 4 rooms away from the end of the dungeon. Thankfully, he still have enough bombs. He's going to need to pick up more though right here. There's no more bombs. Alright, he knows the skull have bombs. That's good. So this is a layer you're basically in when you're doing buzzsaw clipping. You don't need to go there. That's you don't have to. No. You need to. After the blocks you destroy. Alright, I still know how to do my dungeons, so I can still get him. But I'm not sure if he can hear whatever I'm saying here, so I'm just going to keep on writing down stuff here and there. Is that a webcam? No, it's not. It's a very bad capture card. If it was a webcam, I can assure you it would be much worse than that. Because I used to stream with a webcam. Stream video games with a webcam. It's sure was not pretty. Like you barely see anything if you're using a webcam. I can assure you. Oh wait, that's not for a hurt piece. Where's that hurt piece then? I can't remember. No. Okay, looks like you figured it out though. That's it. Okay, he still remembers a fairy. Wow. Now that's some memory right there. I don't know. It seems like Bluedane like actually learns the old route. I don't know why. Because his PB, he doesn't have that many attempts. And his PB is pretty low, but hey. Yeah, I mean, if you forget to open the door, sure, but like he said it was the first time that he ever messed that up, and he did not know the route. So I do believe that he did not practice that, and like it makes sense because the glitch is not too hard to do. You just press B and then you press R, or A and R, A and B right after each other. So it's not hard to do. It's just really easy to mess up, and if you mess it up, you just feel bad about yourself. Is there any chance that oh wait, I can have audio on my end. I had no audio ever since Fir3turtle ended because I was using his audio and I never realized that I could change that by myself. Oops. Now that's a setup I usually don't see Georg in. But like whatever setup Georg is in, it's always going to be the same idea. So it's never too hard to execute. Bluedanes is actually like doing pretty well with this boss fight. and it's actually easier than it's actually not that easy to get the spin. So it's fine if you missed it. All right. Try to. This cycle is when Blue York is going around, and that's where there is some randomness, but it's not too hard to deal with it anyway most of the time. Bluedanes did a rather decent job, I bet. Yeah, by the way, the tail of Blue York hits for you for 1 hurt, and even if Blue York is being destroyed, his tail actually still hits you. Yeah, I lost a run to that. I lost a run, or was it practice? I can't remember. Yeah, I remember losing a run to that. Was not fun. I think I posted the time on Discord, but yeah. Alright. That was Palace of Wind. Now we have DHC coming up. And again, that's the hardest, definitely the hardest dungeon to learn, and really hard to execute as well. There's a lot of recurrent glitches, lots of tough fights, and you've got door clipping, which is not easy. Far from easy, for sure. And I think he's dropping frames, or just his capture character decided to lose frames, lose FPS, I don't know. Or rather than losing frames, it's more like losing FPS. I don't know what's causing it, but it's really not easy on the eye. So right now the timer is at 206. His PB again is at 217. So there's definitely no chance to PB. DHC itself takes a good runner more than 10 minutes. And after that you've got Vade, and Vade is like a good 10 minutes. After the big key. Yeah. I can't blame you. This race, like this kind of race is the kind of race that is really hard to continue, because you gotta know that, like, I don't know, it was like 20 fails or something on BK skip. He lost 10 minutes to it. Then actually everything up to Palace of Wind was quite okay, and then Palace of Wind just decided to wreck him. That was really a hard race. Alright, so the next strike, I don't know if he's going to go for it. It's cutscene walking. Triggered 2 cutscenes at the same time. I saw it on Fir3turtle streams. Let's see if we get it this time again as well. The setup is pretty nice for it. Like, there's a good visual cue. No, yeah, it still goes for it, but it was too low. You can line up yourself with the bricks. You just line up yourself with the biggest ones. Have Link's shadow on the tip. I can't really show you guys, but there's good resources that explain how you get it on our Discord. Again, I think that most of the resources there is on DSR aren't up to date. But everything is up to date on Discord for every resources. And there's a lot of good resources out there, even for someone who's like, I remember like getting sub 2, I don't know, 2 months ago, and checking out all of the resources to just make sure that I wasn't missing anything, and I found quite a few things, actually, that like I either did not knew or did not remember. Okay, so Ocarina Glitch. Again, reminder that it's a one-frame trick. And if it's going down the stairs, it's just that it's 1 frame late. If it's using the Ocarina and not going down, it's 1 frame early. The timing is... it's 1 frame, so... you can't hit it all the time, frame perfectly. It's hard. There is another way to try and go for Ocarina Glitch. Basically, you go diagonally, then you press the Ocarina and you change direction at the same time. It allows you to never use the Ocarina or go down the stair if you mess it up. So if you're inconsistent at it, quite inconsistent at it, it's faster than going for the normal way. It's what we jokingly call OG Modern and OG Classic. So it kind of is true. It's pretty convenient for house Ocarina glitches in the other world. It's like if you mess them up, then you have to reset and it's painful. So in Miss Cloneless, it's a strat that Fir3turtle went for and got. I did not explain. So you can destroy those guys with a bomb on the left and your sword on the right, but it's kind of tight and you kind of only have one shot at it. It skips both the slow text and having to clone, which is pretty fast, but it's kind of tough to get when you still have trouble with the control, which is like very understandable when you are new to the game, to the speedrunning of this game. Like, controls in this game gets more and more hard to get good at, and the more you advance and the more the strat gets complicated, the more it's difficult. Alright, come on, Ocarina Glitch. Every time you're late, it just feels really bad because you lose so much time. Don't bonk now. If you bonks here, you're brought back right before Big Octo, so that would be the last giant big mistake. A good time for Earth Element is like 1730 something, if I recall. You can finish the Deep Shrine in like 740, I think. Is sub 17 even possible in Deep Shrine? That sounds insane. Thank you. Yeah, segment time, I think it's 740. $7.15? What? Oh my god. That sounds way lower than what I expect, but... Actually, no, you're right. My time on Deeper Shrine is 7:30, and it doesn't seem that bad to get like 7:20. 7:15 sounds way too fast though. But I trust you on that. You're better than me at the game. Anyway, there's one last occurring glitch coming up, and it's in order to pass through the doors. Since we're basically doing this pass backward, you were supposed to get to this area last. Well, the doors aren't open, so you need occurring glitches to get through. And once you have occurring glitch triggered, you need to go through the door at a certain height in order to get pushed out. Problem is that like it's really not easy for someone who's it's one of the hardest tricks to learn. Once you've got it down, it's not too bad, but it's definitely a problem for newer runner. And you need to go for it before you get hit by the wizard as well. So you need to hurry up. Alright, you got the first one. Second one, if you don't care about going fast, it's much easier because you can just up down plus left and mash the cape, or you can just like that, I guess. I can barely see a thing because his FPS are going down. Oh no! You still have Fir3turtle, okay? Now don't die again. Don't pull a Falco. Oh my god. So he has to redo the 2 occurring glitches again. Because he did not get the blue wart. Okay, so he's actually going to get the fairies here. There's 2 fairies here you can get on the top left and the bottom left. Oh, actually, it's not bottom left. It's right next to each other. Okay. Alright, go to the first recurring glitch again. Now he needs to go for the second recurring glitch and the 2 door skip again. Did not need to go up again, but it just messed up recurring glitch. You can do it, Bluedane! Alright. Hello?
Hello.
Alright, so that's Martin. I summoned him because I need someone to talk to. This race, this run is
Long.
it's getting long, yeah, especially if you're alone and trying to command it at the best of your ability. Okay, so yeah, okay, use the bombs, not the case, not the case, because that doesn't work. What? How did he? What?
Uh,
How did he do that? I never saw this falling down the platform like that. That's the first time I see this. It's very interesting.
you can like do that and then roll to the left, I think, not just down. Ah. Yeah, you can jump down and then just roll to the left. Or
And then you
the
hit the
right.
platform. That's interesting.
Yeah,
It's the first time I ever see that.
that's like a strat if the platform is under you and not south of you, I guess.
And that apparently I've never seen people do that before because I always see people go down.
It's easier than the normal strat, it's just...
It's lower. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, because you need to walk more.
Alright, so that's second to last Dark Knight fight. Now to not get hit by the fire roll or whatever this is called.
Fire bar, I guess. I don't know.
I guess, yeah. That was good. Let's go with that.
By the way, the trick to skip the Dark Knight cutscene is only faster on the UVC because it saves like 2 seconds and you lose them by saving quitting with normal GBA.
Yeah, good trick.
So it's just perfect. Also, going to DHC lost key. Maybe we will see a nano.
I think it looks like he's going for it.
Yeah.
He did not do his last roll, so
Maybe he has his
he's
own
missing a
nano.
roll. So in order, the way RNG Manic works is that every time you're rolling and every time you're slashing your sword, it changes your RNG because the game needs to determine which voice he wants to use for Link, and the game uses RNG for that.
Also,
So that's how you can easily manage the RNG for Link. You can also use all sorts of items, but that's the too easy way because it's sword is fast. And rolling is like I mean to move, so yeah.
Yeah, but like hitting the pods with the cane is also important because the cane changes the RNG and the pods break in two. So
oh no!
you want to do that for the man? Ah, dude, what is this?
There.
That's like.
Oh,
Really
I'm
sad.
crying for him. I'm legit crying.
Oh man.
Alright, it's Dark Knight fight. Let's see how well it does against these guys. Because these guys are really tough when you're beginning to play the game.
Yeah.
And you can see how tough they can be. You need to like have good decision making and understand how the cave strat works. And you need to like know what you're doing really.
Also, you need like patience. So you're just going to hit their shield and just not deal damage to them. Yeah. So this looks really messy.
It gets much better when there is one down.
Yeah.
And then when there's only just one left, it's easy until you start messing up like that. Like dealing with one Darknet shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
When you're not, it's tough. You still save time though. You still save time on this PV.
I feel like it's easier to roll through the last Dark Nut if there's only one and just not jump over him. Yeah.
I never
Also,
succeeded in doing the jump strat, so in doing the roll strat, so sure. If you say so. I'm going for the 31st. That's not such a bad idea.
Yeah.
Except your hits on Variety. So the reason why everyone goes at the top of Variety when it comes to slashing the eyes is that it makes it less likely that it teleports. But it still does. So
Also, you can't get hit by the fire,
yeah.
so that's cool too. I
Or
guess.
like you can get hit right away by the fire. You can
Yeah.
still get hit. He still has the fairy, so we should be fine. For the next fight. And before Vad is here, you can get the fairy refill.
Yeah, it's pretty nice that you can get them, but if you are on a really good run and a top runner, then you probably won't go for it, but if you're like some scrub like me, you should go for it.
Yeah, if you really want to finish, then you should. But
Yeah.
the time it takes to get it is usually like what's going to cost you a PB at when you have a top time. So even if you're like low on health and you know you have a slim chance to PB if you get a good variety history, you're probably not going to heal, and that's probably what's going to cost you a downfall. I'd still go for it if I'm quite ahead in a race or something.
Yeah, in a race I would always go for it. It's just
Unless I feel like a show off.
so let's see if we can get the recycle, which is really fast compared to like a 5 or 4 cycle. But doesn't look like he goes for it. He's going for
You
it.
just need to spin on the third cycle.
Yeah.
Really. A lot of people, me included, just spin all the way, but it's not particularly faster. You just need to spin on the last cycle. Invited to trolling.
Yeah.
Even though I have a hard time reading what's happening,
Dude.
that's to good FPS. There we go, yeah, he's going for it. It's really easy to, the setup for the 3 cycle is really easy. You just spin,
Yeah.
and then you have like 2 slashes. Basically, spinning allow with 3 clones allow you to go above the HP threshold that would trigger the game to go like, yeah, okay, you're done. You dealt enough damage for the 3rd cycle, so now let's move on to the 4th, and that basically skips the cycle. It just has to deal with the fact that Variety 2 has a weird way to handle his health compared to other bosses. It's the only boss where that works, by the way. This is the only boss where you can save a cycle with shenanigans. Though you can do fun stuff on Variety 3. I've seen it on. I think it was Fir3turtle. You can or PPL, one of the two. You can throw a bomb on Variety 3 and end with a bomb throw, and the bomb is going to explode, or like the bomb is still going to deal damage to Variety 3, and his health is always going to go down.
Yeah.
Like the boss fight will be done, but his health is always going to decrease and underflow at some point. It's pretty silly.
Yeah, quoted it. Not
Cool.
people.
Okay. It was probably cool, and I misremembered. Whatever, it was someone playing Minish Cap.
No, I don't think so. I bet it was like OT. Also, I just wondered how Link and Zelda got from the room to like the door because there are no portals there, and also the way above is blocked, so that's weird.
Magic.
Link can teleport and he didn't tell us all the time.
It's magic.
Okay. So let's hope
Right.
for some good tennis.
No chance he gets like 230 though. That's too bad, but they can still do it. Can still finish
Yeah.
pretty well. He still has this fairy as well, so no problem with that. No problem with wrapping up. And finally, the hell is going to be over. I don't think we're gonna go for an interview. Oh, GG.
World
GG.
record.
World record. Congrats.
You were not gonna go for an interview, or?
I don't know. I'm personally like very drained.
Well, if nobody wants to do the interview, then like if you're too tired to do the interview, then I guess we can skip that. Because we can't have tired commentators because we need them for next week. We need to use them for as long as we can, and then hopefully not dispose of them.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to wrap it up on next race. I believe that the next race is going to be actually me and PPL. That's going to be restream at least.
All right.
Right.
And that's going to be on Tuesday, 9 p.m. Paris time.
So are you gonna be commentating that?
Yeah, I'm totally
Yeah.
commenting my match.
I'm gonna commentate it and shit talk you all the time.
Okay,
It's
as
gonna
long
be
as you
great.
shit talk PPL at the same time, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Yeah, PPL doesn't love me, so let's go. I'm shit talking both of you.
Nice.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Well, thanks so much for doing commentary,
Wow.
guys. I really appreciate that. And do you guys have any closing words right now?
See you on
TMC
Tuesday,
game.
and I hope I beat PPL.
TMC is a good game. Run it. I need more guys to compete against because everyone is overtaking me. Please, I'm bad. Bye.
Get good at it, Martin.
Okay.
I
well,
can't. I'm too dumb.
But thank you, fine people watching the stream, for watching the race. We could not have this tournament without you. Well, maybe, but we'd prefer you here.
Alright, see ya. Have a nice end of weekend, guys.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye.